Today on 1 Hour Builds, we're going to make this cutting board out of clear pine, treated pine, and Meranti. Now the 3 strips of timber that I had were different widths, so I set my fence to the width of the thinnest piece, then moved it in a couple of millimeters and ran the 3 lengths of timber through the table saw to get them all the same width. Then over at the miter saw, I cut the 3 lengths into equal parts. I then rearranged the pieces to alternate between with a piece of clear pine between each one. And then glued and clamped it all together using way too much glue. Once the glue was dry, I took the cutting board blank over to the miter saw and ripped it down one side to get one straight edge, and then gave it a quick sand to make it flat. I then took an offcut of one of the strips and set the fence to that width, and then cut the cutting board blank into strips. I knew going into this that I was going to make the blank the way I did, cut it into strips and then alternate the pattern, but I had no idea how it was actually going to look. I must say I'm pretty happy with it. So once I cut the blank into strips, every second piece I rotated 180 degrees. I then added glue again, not as much this time, and clamps. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button down below. And also hit the notification bell so that you'll get notified every time I put out a new video. Next thing I had to do was sand, sand, and sand. Sanded both sides of the cutting board to be completely flat and around all the edges as well. Once I finished sanding, I took my block plane and put a chamfer on every edge. I then finished the board in a homemade beeswax finish. I left the finish overnight to dry and then came back at it with a piece of paper towel just to wipe off the excess. Once that was finished, I just quickly stuck on these rubber feet and it was complete. I have to say I'm pretty happy with how this cutting board turned out. I had no idea what it was going to look like going into it. All in all, it took me 31 minutes to complete this build, but that does not include the time for glue to dry or leaving the beeswax overnight. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, hit subscribe down below. Maybe leave me a comment, let me know what you thought. You can also follow me on social media on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll have links to those down below as well. And I'll see you next time.